What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down what is really moving it and everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid is down 3.43%, 264 the low, 277 the high. So Lucid definitely is lagging the broader market, which is rather unfortunate because market is really moving higher because of this. So you did have a lot of good data coming out. Composite PMI, manufacturing, as well as services and initial jobless claims all coming in better than anticipated. So all in all, market is ready to really move higher. Forget the fear from yesterday, which is kind of comical, but nonetheless though, that's one thing that's really moving the market. In theory, you would assume that would also help Lucid, but there was one thing that did come out, or more so two things that I feel like is really influencing Lucid. One is this. So I brought up, I think it was close to a week ago, on how GM is really trying to get rid of the California mandate, and it looks as though that there is a vote for that to actually occur. So that's a very big deal. Unfortunately, you are not seeing a pullback occur with Tesla. Clearly, the market does not see this being that impactful to Tesla, but rather you have Rivian and also Lucid both pulling back because of this, in my opinion. So what's your general thoughts? Clearly the market is saying and signaling that without this incentive, they do not see people really moving to a Rivian and a Lucid. So I don't know. I personally see that as overdone and unjustified, but what do I know? The only other thing I wanted to bring up was this right here. So Jim Cramer did talk about Lucid and Rivian, and he did mention, he kind of indirectly said that he would prefer Rivian over Lucid, but he did essentially say both are buys. So on a comical kind of note, inverse Cramer, of course, that's maybe one thing that really happened. So
is Lucid Motors a long-term play? What do you think? Or are we just in an EV bubble, or are we just...
You're 21. You're 21. Let's put our money with something that is going to make a little more sense than Lucid. I think that if you wanted to be in that area, if you wanted to be in that kind of progressive area, you might go with Rivian, okay? I think Rivian is better than Lucid. Bingo. Now...
So yeah, there you have it. I completely disagree. I much prefer Lucid over Rivian, but inverse kind of Cramer, I think is also playing a part for Lucid. Today, no news from Lucid, no SEC filings or anything like that. And on a side note, hopefully the audio is good. Clearly, I'm not at home right now, so hopefully you guys are able to hear it clear and everything like that. If not, my apologies. Looking at shorts, though, they are increasing 1.42 million shares, so definitely doubling down on the fear. Yesterday, they did return a significant amount, as I brought up in my video. So you had conflicting data yesterday, so you had shorts returning, but you also had big money really betting against Lucid via the options. But today, 28.62% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 352.97 million shares overall are being shorted. So not necessarily the best. There really isn't anything to bring up speculative, so no partnership rumors, no other things really coming out. So it is, like I said, just Jim Cramer essentially, and this that is really impacting Lucid. So let me know your viewpoint on that. Looking at the options, kind of low dollar value, so 659,000 in calls, 142 in puts. 44% of all the options being done today are bearish in nature, but you don't see any of those big outliers that happened yesterday. So big money is not really like massively doubling down against Lucid, just overall, just I guess because of the macro conditions possibly for the EV market. That is why you are seeing 44% negative, but not any crazy ones. Based on the bulls, you are seeing a consensus for it to still be above 3, so optimism is still on the table. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 250, and with it right now at the 267 mark, it is kind of stuck in the middle there, so letting you know about that. Basically, as well, one thing I do want to bring up, with today being Thursday, tomorrow this might come as a little bit more of a impact, but open interest you have at the 250 mark 3,000, and then at the 3,000 or $3 mark you have 28,000, and then 350 for whatever reason, if Lucid's able to get there, then you have 13. So if Lucid is able to recover to that 3 for whatever reason, maybe some partnership news or whatever is dropped, then you'll most likely see shorts get a little bit more active around that $3 range. Aside from that, these are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. So this is one thing as well that is really dragging on Lucid, is institutions physically selling quite significantly. In fact, you had one buy for $833,000. Everything else so far today has been a sell. So institutions are selling Lucid, not really buying into the hype or anything like that. Dark pool transactions, you are seeing a little bit on the low end. So I think today's volume, both options and common stock, is on kind of, like I said, the low end. And I think at the same time, algorithmic trading is picking up on those two signals that I mentioned and really pushing Lucid and also Rivian down. It's not just Lucid, but Lucid and Rivian are both kind of getting dragged down. But right now with it at 268, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 262 is going to be a key support. Just watch for that. And then 274 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. No new analyst ratings, no real articles even coming out about Lucid whatsoever. Just obviously about the whole ban on gas-powered cars and whatever. So it's sitting with the Senate right now. That's clearly a big deal ultimately. But as far as on the technical standpoint, I just want to go over that. So basically on the chart, it's still wedge bound between both that 100 and also 200-day moving averages. So you can kind of see that right here. So ultimately that 262 is going to be a key support in the short term, at least for that. And then aside from that, if that does fail to hold, then I'll trade between that 100 and also 50-day moving average. And that 50-day moving average is a very, very big deal for Lucid. So maybe this is part of Shorts' bigger plan, is just to slowly hit it on a technical standpoint. And maybe this is why at the same time GM and a lot of the other legacy automakers did really try to push for the California EV mandate to be removed, thus really hitting Lucid and Rivian. Now that way the legacy automakers will just have to contend with, I guess, Tesla at this stage in the game. So what's your viewpoint on Lucid? Are you buying today? Are you selling? Do you think that over the last 2 days it's just been kind of manipulation just to bring it down for whatever reason? Or do you think that this is something actually fundamentally wrong with Lucid? Like I said, yesterday you did have conflicting data. Today, you still have a little bit more of a bearish undertone, so lack of buying is definitely a red flag to me. So I think just institutions and also retail, and even including myself, a lot of individuals are waiting on the sidelines to buy more or potentially even average down until Lucid does show that they are really like ramping up, because we've seen a lot of good flyover videos, a lot of Gravity definitely being produced, but they do need to do a lot more than what I've seen personally. So I think institutions are kind of following that same mentality. So let me know your viewpoint on Lucid. Like I said, what's your general thoughts? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. My apologies on the audio again, but one final thing I do want to share with you, pop over to my Patreon. I've been giving some absolute bangers for day trades, even swing trades, so definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.